It's the end of the day with Ray. Hello, my friends. Hey, in the intersection between that digital and physical world today, it's none other than Norm McConkey. And Norm, how are you doing, man?
Absolutely fantastic, Ray. How are you?
I'm doing great, Norm. Hey, the reason I wanted to get Norm on the end of the day with Ray today is because obviously we're seeing some market shifts happen, and we're seeing some realities to the global world that are forcing things that have been going on for the last 5 years to kind of get expedited. And what I'm talking about is more consumers going into that digital workforce, going into that digital space to acquire, to pay bills, to do business, and we're going to see a whole lot more of that. And Norm at MPS Toolbox, I know that it was exciting yesterday. We were able to talk about the Clover CIA program. You know, you're part of that program. How's that going for you?
It's fantastic, Ray. I was really excited in sitting down with Jim Serkleski and Aaron and Eric, some of the folks at Clover, understanding that they saw themselves the opportunity for transactional business and the fact that while they're a company that remanufactures toner cartridges and people buy supplies online. And if you want to work with them, if you want to get to those customers, you got to have an online presence. So our part of that program is really about Clover reaching out and trying to do everything they can to help their partners, their resellers, get online and get an e-commerce presence so that they can service customers and get more revenue.
Well, it seems to me when I was looking at their website for the CIA, they're actually doing some kind of a helping the dealer with some of the fees to get that implemented. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Sure. One of the things Clover's done is if people come on board with Clover through the program, the CIA, one of the things they'll have access to is our e-commerce product called Supply Cover, which ties in remote monitoring systems like Print Fleet and FM Audit directly into an e-commerce presence. So customers can log in, see real time their entire fleet, their supply levels, and action order toners and pay for them online with a credit card. Really exciting stuff, in addition to all the other tools that MPS Toolbox offers for e-commerce.
Well, I got to tell you, Norm, if a dealer's not waking up to the realities of the digital marketplace, hopefully through this opportunity to learn, as I call it, they're paying attention to this. So we notice a major manufacturer in the space, Xerox, all of a sudden now they have an e-commerce site where you can actually, do you know anything about this site? I think you did some research on it. I know Art Post put a little thing out there on it. What exactly is Xerox doing with this?
Sure. So I think it really is a monumental program if we take a step back. If you look at it, you have, let's say, the largest A3 traditional, copier manufacturer, certainly in North America. They've come out with a program that allows customers and users to go in, answer a simple set of 5 or 6 questions, and by doing so, the system online will offer the customer up printers and MFPs that match exactly what their specifications are, and then the customers can turn around, put in their details, execute a contract, and pay for it with a credit card online, all within about 60 seconds. So, that understanding this intersection of what's happening now and people buying online, you now have a manufacturer out there that's setting up their channels and their dealers with an ability to sell equipment, finance equipment, online, real time, in about a minute or a minute and a half. So when you think that business-to-business e-commerce is going to represent about 20% this year of all B2B e-commerce, the print industry is going to be no exception. Mm-hmm. So I think it's just a huge moment for people to look around and say, you can do these things online, and Xerox is paving the way for that.
Well, I think a lot of times people go to the extremes. So they say, oh, how can I buy an A3 online? I got to do the analysis. I got to go in there and check on all the workflows. But reality is that's probably about 15% of their customers where that applies. We all know in the imaging channel that about 80-90% of all their customers are repeat customers. They're upgrading their own base. So hopefully they've already done an analysis. Most of the analysis is what's your lease payment, what's your service payment, I'm going to be cheaper. Not to be cynical, but in all reality, we have to pay attention to this huge market space that wants to click buy now. And Xerox, kudos to Xerox, part of their boldness, I guess, to come out with an e-commerce platform. And they're going to allow their dealers to use that, and they're also in their direct operation. Very interesting stuff. And Norm, let me ask you a question. We compare our industry sometimes to the auto industry, kind of going through the same pain. Complicated hardware, cars, complicated service ability, got to go fix them all the time. Leases, finance programs, banks are involved. They've been ahead of us online for at least 5 years. Most of the dealerships realize, hey, we got to pay attention to this. Do you think this is the time that our channel finally wakes up to e-commerce?
Well, I hope it is. It's, how much more evidence do you need? The market's going this way, and we're not isolated. When people buy things online, they like to buy everything online. If I can buy a car online, and that's a complicated piece of equipment, why the heck can't I buy a printer? And I'm gonna, assume and give the part to outside sales reps. There continues to be a need for some installations, some customers that are going to require an outside sales process,
sure,
and doing a walk around, understanding needs analysis. But the reality is, less and less is that the case. So you have to be able to offer these types of things online, and you can't put the genie back in the bottle. E-commerce is out there. Xerox is out there doing what they do. It's only going to proliferate more. So I think absolutely it's the time to get online. And we see this with all our customers. You don't just snap your fingers and get online. Like, your organization needs to understand what this means. You need to put resources in place to manage this. We help, and we've experienced it and done it with over 100 resellers to date, and continue to add more onto the system every month. So we have that experience, but we just gotta work with these customers to say it isn't too late, but it's quickly getting to that time where we're approaching midnight in terms of the hour of people being able to have enough time to get online and be relevant with their customers.
Well, I got to tell you, I believe that Amazon's already at the table, the boardroom, talking about this. They're in a great position. They do have service capabilities. But another player in our space closer to home is really Staples Decks. I'm thinking of Staples Decks. They are poised to be able to take advantage of this opportunity. Not only do they have brick and mortar, they have a footprint that can service and support nationwide, and Decks has a great relationships with contractors around the country at this point. But in all reality, Staples and Decks could really make an impact in an e-commerce way that could be different. So, I don't know if you're listening out there, Decks and Staples, but it's not going away. We got people like Norm in the industry that can help us navigate through this. But, Norm, like I said before, I just hope that this time that we're experiencing what's going on in the world today is people are paying attention, that we have to be able to offer our services in different ways that match those market realities. Because we can't live off that 20% when we lose all the stuff in the middle that was easy for customers to buy from somebody else because we made it impossible. So, well, it'd be interesting to check on Xerox along the way, see how that goes. How do you think the success on that's going to be?
I think that once the channel understands just how sophisticated and easy that is, they're going to look and say, can we replace some of the easy sales that we're actually, from a company, giving and seeding a lot of the revenue that comes from opportunities to the outside sales rep. If you're a business owner and you can all of a sudden understand that maybe 20, 30% of your sales can happen, and you as the owner can get most of the revenue for that, as opposed to maybe overpaying a sales rep. And let's be honest, should somebody get full commission for turning the lease over, or just selling a simple asset, or trying to oversell an asset and lose the deal altogether? So I think that this is not just going to replace sales that they have. It's going to make sales more profitable, and it's going to increase their exposure to people that just say, I don't want to see an outside sales rep. I want to buy stuff online. If you can't let me do it, then I'm going to go somewhere else to do it.
Yep, and they'll click buy now from somebody else. And we already talked about this. I'll wrap this up with this, but we know there's 5 to 7 printers in most accounts that aren't being, there's no commerce going to the dealers for that because they refuse to do any transactional business with them. They were focused on the print management aspect. But still today in the marketplace, there's literally millions of printers inside the BTA channel or that dealer space that aren't being, the dealers aren't getting any revenue from. So hopefully, maybe Xerox will see some benefits with that. And the other thing that Xerox will do, I'm sure, is they got a big marketing arm. So, when they start marketing this to the world, when they start going out into the marketplace and telling people, hey, if you need a copier, go here and click buy now, that could be very interesting. It'll change some conversations.
I think on that, Ray, you're absolutely right. Like if you think about Xerox and the brand and the name, when customers go to buy or to finance and pay monthly for a printer, if they're going to a place called Xerox, they're going to feel confident. They're going to have trust immediately. And I think that the brand and the program that they have are going to leverage that. I similarly think that's the point with dealers in e-commerce, is to sit down and think, if you have customers, if you have a few hundred or a few thousand customers that you've done business with for, 20, 30, 40 years. Once you introduce e-commerce and allow them to buy from you, they're going to instantly have that trust. So that's the thing that I've always been bullish about in this industry is once these dealers recognize that that trust in their community extends online as well to that experience.
That's a good point.
And that's the perfect intersection.
Mm-hmm. Well, I got to tell you, Norm, it'll be interesting to keep tabs on you with this. E-commerce is a big part of the Test for the Innovation Channel play. We realize it's a big part of that A4 revolution. So I'm going to end this like I always do. Status quo is the killer of all that'll be invented. Don't get stuck in status quo, my friends, and have a great day. I'll see you tomorrow.
Perfect, great.